morning. Oral report for PED 1 Week 4. The Simon Freud's Psychosexual Theory. Psychosexual Theory. This psychosexual stage, Freud proposed that personality development in childhood takes place during 5 psychosexual stages, which are the oral, the anal, phallic, latency, and genital stage. Each stages represents the fixation of libido, or sexual drives and instincts, on a different part of the body. As a person grows physically and certain areas becomes important, a source of potential frustration, pleasure, or both, and we call it erogenous zone. Freud also conceptualized the personality as having 3 parts: the id, ego, and superego. These are developing at different stage in our lives. These are system and that part of the brain or physical. Id is the primitive and instinctive component of personality. Id is a part of unconscious that contains all the urges and impulses called libido. Libido is a kind of generalized sexual energy that used for everything from survival, instincts, to appreciation of art. Ego is a part of id which is modified by direct influence of external world. Ego is the only part of the conscious personality, aware of what they think about themselves. Ego develops to mediate between the unrealistic id and the external real world. Like id, the ego seeks pleasure, tension, reduction, and avoids pain. But unlike the id, the ego is concerned with devising a realistic strategy to obtain the pleasure. Superego incorporates the values and morals of society, which are learned from one's parent and others. It develops around 3 to 5 years during phallic stage of psychosocial development. Superego is a part of the unconscious that is the voice of conscience doing what is right and the source of self-criticism. Superego's function is to control the id's impulses, especially those which society forbids, such as sex and aggression. The superego consists of 2 systems, the conscience and the ideal self. The conscience is our inner voice that tells us when we have do something wrong. The ideal self is an imaginary picture of how you ought to be and represents career aspirations. The role of conflicts. Each of the psychosocial stages is associated with the particular conflicts that must be resolved before the individual can be successfully advanced to the next stage. Freud variously described conflicts as an opposition to discharge of activation. Specifically, he maintained that this conflict progress through the series of five basic stages, each with a different focuses: the oral, the anal, phallic, latency, and the genital stage. First one is the oral stage. The erogenous zone is mouth from age 0 to 1. It gets much satisfaction from putting sorts of thing in the mouth to satisfy the libido. Mouth-oriented, such as sucking, beating, oral stimulation could lead to an oral fixation later in life. Anal stage, from 1 year to 3 years. Freud believed that the primary focus on the libido was on controlling bladder and bowel movements. primarily focus on toilet training in which impose restriction on child can defecate. Stimulating of anal lesion produces pleasure. Toddlers experiences conflict over toilet training. Ego develops anal expulsive personality, a person fixated in the anal stage who is messy and destructive and hostile. Anal retentive personality, a person fixated in the anal stage who is neat, fussy, stingy, and stubborn. The next stage of the role of the conflicts is phallic stage, from 3 years to 5 years. Erogenous zone is genitals. Development begin around age 3. Libido focus on the genital area, the penis or clitoris. And discovering and manipulation of the body become major source of pleasure. The child becomes aware of the anatomical sex differences, erotic attraction, resentment, rivalry, jealousy, and fear. Oedipus complex. In the young boy, Oedipus complex arises because the boy develops sexual pleasure desire for his mother. Electra complex. For the girls, psychoanalytic term used to describe a girl's sense of competition with her mother for the affection of her father. The girl resolves this by repressing her desire for her father and substituting the wish for a penis with the wish for a baby. The next stage conflicts is the latent stage, 5 or 6 to puberty. No further psychosexual development takes place during this stage because the latent means hidden. The latent period is a time of exploration in which the sexual energy repressed or dormant. This stage is important in the development of social and communication skills and self-confidence. The last stage of conflict is genital stage, puberty to adult. This is the last final stage of Freud's psychosexual theory of personality development. During this period, the person seeks ways of satisfying sexual impulses, dyadic relationship, and aggressive impulses through the competition, physically demanding activities, exercises, and arguments. Week 5. Piaget's stage of cognitive development. Jean Piaget's cognitive theory of development is truly classic in the field of educational psychology. Piaget believed that the children take an active role in learning process. Cognitive development involves changes in cognitive process and abilities. Basic cognitive concepts. Schema. A schema refers to the cognitive structure by which individuals intellectually adapt to and organize their environment. Piaget included the idea of a schema into his theory of cognitive development. A schema is a category of knowledge or mental template that a child develops to understand the world. It is a product of child experience. Number 2 is the assimilation, as the cognitive process of fitting new information, existing cognitive schema. Perception and understanding. Accommodation. This is the process of creating a new schema. The cognitive process of revising existing cognitive schemas, perception and understanding, so that the new information can be incorporated. This happens when the existing schema or knowledge does not work and need to be changed. Equilibration. Piaget believed that the people have the natural need to understand and how the world works and to find order, structure, and predictability in their life. More equilibration tends to occur as an individual transitioning from one major development stage to the next. Piaget stage cognitive development. Stage number one is sensory motor stage. During early stages, according to Piaget, infants are only aware of what is right in front of them. They focus on what they see, what they are doing, what they touch, and physically interactions with their immediate environment because they don't know yet how things react. They are just constantly experimenting. Stage number two, the pre-operational stage. Children begin to think symbolically and learn to use words and pictures to represent objects. Children at this stage tend to be egocentric and struggle to see things from the perspective of others. Stage number three, concrete operational stage. The concrete operational stage is the third stage in Piaget's theory of cognitive development. This lasts around 7 to 11 years of age and is characterized by the development of organized and rational thinking. Stage number four is formal operational stage. The ability to think about abstract ideas and situations is the key hallmark of the formal operational stage of cognitive development. The ability to systematically plan for the future and reason about hypothetical situations are also critical abilities that emerge during this stage. Week 6. Erik Erikson's Psychosocial Theory of Development. Erik Erikson was a German-born analyst who learned not only from Freud's work but also from his study of Sloaks and Eric Indian. In the United States, where he spent much of his adult life as a teacher and clinical practitioner. Much like Simon Freud, Erikson also believed in the series of stage. Unlike Freud's theory of psychosexual stage, however, Erikson's theory described the impact of social experience across the whole lifespan. Erikson was interested in how social interaction and relationships played a role in the development and growth of human beings. Conflict stage, Erikson believed peoples experience a conflict that serves as a turning point in development. These conflicts are centered of either developing a psychological quality or failing to develop the quality. Erikson also believed that the sense of competence motivates behavior and action. Each stage is concerned of becoming competent in life. Psychosocial stages. The trust versus mistrust. The infant receives consistent, predictable, and reliable. They will develop trust. If the care has been inconsistent, unpredictable, and unreliable, they will develop mistrust. The next stage is the anatomy versus shame, from 1 year to 3 years. If the children in this stage are encouraged and supported, they become confident in their own ability to survive. If the children criticize, controlled, they feel sense of shame and doubt on their ability. The next stage is the initiative and guilt. Like Freud's work, Erikson has been criticized for its Eurocentric male focus. Erikson's theory differed from many others because it addressed development through the lifespan. Those who are unsuccessful during this stage will feel that their life has been wasted and may experience many regrets. Those who feel proud of their accomplishment will feel a sense of integrity. Erikson's theory also has its limitation in abstract, valid criticism. One of the major weaknesses of psychosocial theory is that live exact mechanism for resolving conflicts and moving from stage to the next are not well described as developed. One of the strengths of psychosocial theory is that it provides a broad framework which to view a development throughout the lifespan. Researchers have found evidence supporting Erikson's ideas about identify and have further identified different substages of identity formation.